Welcome to part 2 of my verse for beginners tutorial. In this part, I'm going to be covering for loops, optionals, manipulating the fourth character of a player to give them health or make them invincible or invisible, detecting certain events for the fourth character, so if they crouch or something like that. Then after that, spatial math for props so you can move them around, and then finally attaching props to players. Now, I'm going to presume you've seen part 1, so some important things like constants, functions, concurrency, and editables and stuff like that might not be explained here in full. The reason why is because it was probably all included in part 1. So let's get right to it. Okay, first up, for loops. I'm going to make an array called names, type string. It's going to be an array. I'm just going to make the exact same array we had last time. There we go. I'm going to put brackets here. Okay, firstly, what a for loop actually is. It's a loop that iterates over a bounded number of items. This means the number of iterations is known before the for loop is executed, and decisions on when to exit the loop are automated. Basically, for whatever is in this array, we can do something to every single thing. And after it's done going through every single thing we want, it will stop. So to write a for loop, let's go into onBegin. Now I'm just going to write out for, so I'm going to get do name, names, I'm going to do print name equals name. Okay, here's a simple for loop. First, you can use a for, and then inside of it, this part of the for loop is what's known as the generator. A generator produces a sequence of values one at a time and gives each value a name. In this case, since we're using the names array, we're going to give each value name because, you know, each value is a name. So we're going to call each value a name. Then we do a colon, and then names, which is our array. Basically, what this does, for each name in names, do this, and kind of like functions, this will dynamically change on every single loop, and it'll also run through every element that fits what we need. We'll fit all of them in the case. So first, it's going to do a first loop, which is Jerry is going to be the name. It's going to name Jerry. Then it's going to repeat for the next name, which is Joe. It's going to say name Joe, and then it's going to do finally Carlos, so name Carlos. So if we quickly just build our device, once we have built our device, we'll go into UEFN. We'll drag out our device right here. And with our device, we'll just launch a session. As you can see in the top left, or if I press tab and go to log, you can see that we got name Jerry, name Joe, and name Carlos. So it worked. Now, another fun thing we can do is, let's say if we wanted to get the index of each name. Now, if you remember, index is like that's index 0, index 1, and index 2. We can do something like this, where we can do index, we'll do a little arrow, and then we can do name of index. We interpolate thing we just got, which is index. So now it's going to get the index of every single name, and that index is going to go down here, and now we're going to use the index. So if I build this, so now if I go back into the log, you can see we're getting name of index 2 equals to Carlos. I should have actually put a space here. That'll make it look better, but you know what I mean. And that was pretty cool, right? But another cool thing is, if you make it editable, and we'll call it triggers, for example, and we throw trigger devices, and we do an array of trigger devices. Now, if you remember, last time when I was talking about editables, I showed you an array of triggers you can make. That might raise a question. How do you actually use all of those triggers? So something like this would work. So you could do for trigger in triggers, which is the array we just made, and trigger will be our term we're going to use for every single thing in the for each element. We do a little colon. Okay, there we go. We do trigger and then enable, and now what we just did was, when this for loop happens, it would enable every single trigger. If we wanted to, we can actually put this into a function called enable all triggers. And now when we call this enable all triggers function, every single trigger inside of our array up here will be able to enable every single one of them, because for will go through every single one and enable every single one of them. That's very useful. Okay, for our next example, I'm going to write out something. I'm going to do for, and then we'll do something weird here. I'm going to do x int is equal to 0.5. The colon at the end. What this means, this is a range, and a range is a kind of collection type, kind of like arrays, where it can store multiple things. And a range in particular only can store integers, and in this case I made it 0 and 5, so it's storing everything between 0 and 5. That'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what I can do is I can do a print, and inside this interpolation I do x. Every single time it goes to a number, and each number is represented by x, it'll print x. And then what I can do sleep for 1 second, and effectively what I just made here is a timer. This is a simple 5-second timer that prints a number every single second. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, to push reverse changes, you can just click this push reverse changes up here. It takes way less time than push changes, so if you only have to push first changes, just do this instead, and it takes like a fraction of the time. Like, see, this is how long it's gonna take in real time. See, there we go. So if I start the game, you now see in the top left 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just made a timer using verse. Okay, speaking of range and container types, there's actually another kind of container type that you should probably know about. Option. Now, an option can only hold one item, or it's either holding something or empty. Now, if an option is holding nothing, it's holding the type of false. So first, we want to make a variable. And usually with options, you want to do like maybe, because we don't actually know if it's there or not. So I call this maybe number. We're going to do int equals false. And if I do this, you're going to notice we get an error. This is because we're calling an int, but we don't want to call an int. We want to call an option, because we need the type of option, not the type of int. So to call a type of option, we want to put a question mark in front of the int. Now this is made maybe a number, now a container, and now it can hold an int if I wanted to. And right now it's false, so it's not holding anything. Now, okay, to actually put something inside of our maybe number, what we need to do is we'll do set, now we'll do maybe number equal to maybe 42. But you're gonna notice it fails. This is because 42 here is an int. So if you remember, maybe a number is not an int, it is a container that wants an int, or an option that wants an int. So trying to make an option equal an int makes no sense. So what we need to do is do a special syntax called option brackets, and then we do 42. So now we've set the option inside of maybe number to 42, which is an int, which it can take. Now to actually use this, we can use an if statement to check if something is actually inside our option. So if we do if number, numbers is going to be anything, and we'll make that equal to int maybe number. But now it breaks again. So why is that? It's because number in this if statement is looking for an int, and again we know maybe number is not an int, it's an option that wants an int. So to use an option, just put a little question mark at the end. So now this is going to query the option to see if there's an int somewhere inside of there for number right here to be assigned to. And what do you look at that? There is, it's 42. Then if we wanted to, we could print I don't know, number is number, and then we can do else print there is no number. So now we can check if there is a number actually inside of our maybe number option. And if there is, it's going to assign number to it, and we can print the number inside of it. And if there isn't, it's going to say there's no number. So this is basically just options. Very handy indeed. Okay, now after everything we've done so far, there was something I still haven't covered yet. Players. Or more specifically, how you can manipulate different aspects of the player in your game. Okay, for example, let's say we wanted to get a big array of all our players currently in the game. To do this in onBegin or any other function, we want to make an array called all players. We'll make it of type players is equal to get play space brackets get players. Oh, sorry, we need to make a player. So what this is we're making an array. Everything in the array is of type player. We're going to use a built-in function called get play space, which will get the play space of our game, and then we're going to get the players inside of our game, and then it's going to put all those players inside of this array. So now we have an array of every single player in the game. Now let's say, I don't know, for some reason, I don't know, we wanted to make every single player invisible. We can use a for loop to do that. So we can do for, and as you know, player in all players, and like before, since all players is in an array full of every single player, we can use a for loop to get every single player, and then we can do player, and we can use the built-in function called hide to hide the players. But oh wait, that did not work. That's because to actually manipulate the player, we need their fort character. Now every single player has a fort character that we can manipulate, do things like to give the player more health. Remember, to use characters or fort characters, we need to import the module fortnite.com/characters, and that'll allow us to use the fort character. So we'll just get rid of this, and we don't need this. Now lucky for us, there's an inbuilt function in the game called get fort characters. So we're gonna get a fort character. Remember, this is our every single player, so we're just gonna call fort character is equal to player dot get fort character. So we're going to get the fort character of every single player in the game. But now this fails because we need an if statement, because this is failable. So we need if, and then we do an if like that. But then again, well, it's still getting errors because this get fort player character is a failable function. So we need the square brackets, not the round brackets. So now we have this new variable called fort character, and we can use this to hide the player. So what we can do is we can do fort character, and we can use the inbuilt function hide, and now we've hidden every single character in the game. Okay, now fort character is very powerful as it allows us to manipulate the character in many ways, including but not limited to, we can show the player, which is like, let's say if we hide them, we want to show them again, we can do this. We can also do the fort character, and we can heal them, and in the brackets is the float amount of how much you want to heal them. Then we can do the exact same thing, but for damage, and then inside is how much damage you want to do, so maybe 20 damage. And we can also, if we wanted to, we can set the HP or the health of the player to a certain amount, so we can do like 150 HP. And then if we want to do again, we can set the shields of the player to, I don't know, 200? Oh, sorry, it's not set shields, it says shield. Another thing we can also do is we can get the Fort character again, and we can do set max health. This is the max health. So the difference between set health and set max health, if the max health is 100, and I set the health to 150, it's going to cap out at 100. So this is kind of the health cap. So if I wanted to, I can cap this at 100. You can also do this with max shields too. So the player can also, you know, get, 500 shields if they wanted to. And another useful one is Fort character put in stasis. What this does is it basically will freeze the player in place, which is very useful. And then another one we can use is release from stasis. It releases the player from stasis. And finally, for notable ones would be, we'll set the vulnerability, and then in here we can do false. And if it's false, that means the player is invincible. And if it's true, the player cannot take damage. All of these are really useful. But now this is not all. We can also check many different things about the Fort character. Now to do this, I'm just gonna get rid of all this. We're going to need a device to get the agent player. So we're gonna make a player spawner device equal to player spawner device this. There we go. Then we need to make a function that grabs the player, it's agent. So for example, we're gonna call it grab agent. Then we're going to go pass in the agent of player, which is agent. Then we're going to do the regular old void equals if Fort character equal to agent.get Fort character. So doing this will let us, whatever agent we pass in, we'll be able to get their Fort character out of them, which is very useful. And then in on begin, what we want to do next is you might want to get the player spawner we got. Want to do spawn event, which is the one we want to listen to. Want to listen to the spawn event, then we're going to subscribe the function we just made, which is grab agent. So now when a player spawns on any spawn pad that we assign to what the player spawner, it's going to grab the agent that's inside, and then it's going to do its thing. Okay, now back in grab agent. It's important to know the Fort character has not just functions to call, like heal, damage, but also events to listen to, like jumped event or crouched event or sprinted event. So here we're going to listen to for an event like crouch event. So kind of like subscribing functions to events of devices, we can subscribe functions to the event of the Fort character. So we're going to write Fort character dot crouched event, do a little brackets dot subscribe. We're going to do the function we're going to subscribe. I'm just going to do thing. Okay, now we need to make the do thing function, which will be the function that will do the thing. So do thing. And now to use the crouch event, we need to pass in two parameters, one for a Fort character and another one for a logic for if the player's crouch or not. So we need to do Fort character, and we'll do Fort underscore character. Then we'll do a little this, then we'll do is crouched, which will be our second parameter. Do logic. There we go. And then we do this, void equals. So in here we'll do print, then this will just say you crouched. Oh wow, you crouched. Now, whenever the player crouches, it's gonna print you crouched. So if I build this first code, and then we'll go back to UEFN. In this, we're gonna need a player spawner. So where's the player spawners? Here they are. Just gonna move these over to here, and then I'm just gonna delete this one. So now to assign the player, we're just going to get player spawners out of here. And then I'm going to, if I push changes, so now if we crouch in game, you crouched. So now we can detect when the player crouches. Very nice. But you're gonna notice, once I crouch and then get back up, it detects the first crouch, and it also detects when I get back up too, which is not a crouch, it's me standing up. So how do we fix this? So to fix this in here, what we want to do is do if, and we're going to use our logic thing we passed in, is crouched. We'll do a little question mark, because we're going to query the boolean. We're going to then do print you crouched. Because if it succeeds, it means the player's crouching, and if else, it's going to say print you stood up. Perfect. So now if I crouch, it's going to say you crouch, but now if I stand up, it's going to say you stood up. So now it can detect, but if I crouch and then if I stand up, it's very, very cool. Yeah, and you can use all the other ones, like is in air, is on ground, is everything. There's a bunch of other ones, and you can detect all of that using this method here. All right, okay, do the usual, clean up everything. And for the next bit in this tutorial, we're going to go over spatial math. Okay, now this is basically just moving things around. Okay, the first thing is first, if you want to use spatial math, you do be using, and then I'll just copy this, but then get rid of the diagnostics and do spatial. But now we're using the module of spatial math. So what you want to do first is we're going to move a prop. So I'm going to make an editable prop. I'm going to make it of type creative prop. I'm going to make it equal to creative prop. And this is going to make it so we can add in our own prop that we want to move. So now if I build, this is now going to swap onto a prop. We'll use this guy. So what we can do is, like any device, we can pick it in the dropper, and we'll pick bear. So now bear is the prop inside of the device. Now we have our prop. Let's make a function that will teleport prop. So I'll do teleport prop void, and then to teleport our prop, I'm going to use an inbuilt function called teleport to. Now this is a function which needs a bunch of parameters. Teleport to, it needs a position of vector 3 and a rotation of rotation. So now with that, what we can do is we can do prop teleport to, and then we're going to need translation. So we're going to need a vector 3, and since this is a vector, so it's going to be storing the 3 translation values. So it's going to be x, y, and z. So we're going to need to make an x, which is, I guess I'll just set the 0. And remember, they need to be floats, so you need a decimal point. We're going to make a y, set that to also 0, and we're going to need a z. I'm going to set this also to 0. Then after this, we're going to need a rotation, so we're going to do a little comma. Then we're going to get a rotation. Now, to get a rotation, if you don't want to rotate the object, you can just do prop get transform like this. Then we do brackets dot rotation. We're going to get the transform of the prop. The transform contains translation, the rotation, and the scale. And we're just going to take the rotation out of the transform for the prop. So now we have the prop's rotation. But again, you're going to notice it fails. Is we need to put this into an if, because teleport to is failable. We're going to put inside an if, but then teleport to, the function, the brackets need to be square, so we're going to replace them with square. Oh yeah, and also this needs to be equal to. There we go. So now we can teleport the prop to somewhere using all these little values. The easiest way to get coordinates for the thing is, for example, this bear, if you click on him in details, you can see the location here, and those are the coordinates of the bear right now. So if we just copy this and go back in the verse, what we can do is we'll just paste it. As you can see, we pasted an X, Y, and Z. So what we can do is we can just remove all of this in here, paste that in, and then we'll just get rid of the brackets. Then we need to put colons. So now we've put in our values for teleport to. Now the bear will be teleported here, where it's sitting right right now. Now what we can do next is we can then we might do a sleep 4 seconds, and then we'll do another teleport to. This will make the bear teleport to a different place. I'll make him teleport over to this way, and we're going to grab the same thing. We're going to copy and paste the location. Back in the verse, we're going to edit this so it goes boop, fix the brackets, add a colon, everything. And now we have another thing. But again, sleep is not working because we need to make this suspends because it's an asynchronous function. And then we're going to call teleport prop when the game starts. And then I might put this into a loop. So, loops be fun, I guess. So now there's going to be teleport prop is going to loop teleport back and forth. I want to add another step at the very end. And now every 4 seconds, the bear will TP back and forth. There we go. So now our bear is teleporting between the 2 points we determined. And oh yeah, we actually go with the bear for standing on him. Oh, that's pretty fun. So teleport to is cool, but there's actually another one we can use. It's called move to. We're gonna make a new function called move prop. We're gonna make a suspends because it's going to need suspends. Move prop is like teleport prop, except that it takes time between, so it can move over. So we can do prop move to. Now move to it's not failable, unlike teleport. So we don't have to do the square brackets or inside an if or anything like that. So I'm just gonna copy the exact same things that are in here. There we go. And then to make move to work, we also need a time at the very end. So we're going to make it so it takes 5 seconds for the prop to move from where it is currently to this position. And then I'm going to actually add in another move prop. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to add another one, and I'm just going to take the values from over here, and then I'm going to put them up here. We don't need sleeps because the sleeps are kind of already inside of the function, which are these times here. So now if I do move prop instead of teleport prop, now we can now move the prop. Then I put this one into a loop. This will then work. So I save this. And now if I start the game, we're gonna notice the bear is now moving, but it's not teleporting. It's moving between, or it's moving towards the point where it wants to go. So now it can move. Wow, isn't this cool? It's on a loop, so it's gonna go back and forth. Okay, now right now we've transformed the prop, but we're actually the rotation, we're keeping it the same, so the prop isn't actually rotating anywhere. Now let's say if you wanted to rotate the prop, this would be how. So what we need to do is I'm going to get rid of teleport too. I'm just going to use move 2 from now on. And inside of the rotation, I need something called make rotation from yaw pitch roll degrees. It's very long, I know, but we do a bracket. We do 3 floats that are 0.0. Now, okay, since these are degrees, okay? So you can make them positive or negative. For example, this value here is yaw, and yaw, if you make it in the positive, that would move the object right, and then negative will move it left. Pitch is the next one, and what pitch will do is positive will move it up, and negative moves it down. And then the last one is a roll, and roll goes clockwise if you go positive, and then negative makes the object go anti-clockwise. If you don't understand that, if I go into UEFN, if I look at my bear, in the rotation tab, this is my rotations. Now, the thing about this thing is that the values are actually reversed. So in inverse, yaw is first, then it's pitch, then it's roll. But in here, it's a roll, then pitch, then yaw. So it's kind of odd, but you know, it is what it is. So if I wanted to, you see, if I move this in the minus and the forward, you can see how it manipulates the prop. So this is spinning clockwise and anti-clockwise. Then pitch will move it, you know, like that, and then yaw would do this. So let's say if I wanted my bear to be, you know, like, I don't know, over here. I'm going to set this to 180.0. So he's going to be facing this direction. We'll see if this works. So we'll push the first changes. And now in game, if we load, you're going to notice, if I start the game, the bear is going to be rotating. As you can see, now he's rotating. If we go back into here, and then if we just copy what we just put up here, and then get rid of transform here, do this. If I set this to 0.0, now he's going to spin around. So if I save this, now if I start the game, you can see our bear. So now he's gonna rotate. He's gonna rotate back. So now he's rotating back, and then he's gonna rotate it back again. So this is how you would rotate something using transform. Now, okay, one important thing to note, okay? In UEFN, there's 2 different kinds of things. If I grab a cube out here, if I wanted to move this cube, for example, or any other custom object, if I wanted to add this to the prop, you're gonna notice incompatible, because this cube is not a prop, it's a static mesh. So what we need to do is we need to somehow turn this cube into a prop. And to do this, you want to go into content drawer, then I want to go into reverse tutorial content. You want to right click, go up to blueprint class, building prop right here, and we're gonna call this box. So now we have a blueprint class, we're gonna go inside of it. Then inside of here, you just want to add in your static mesh. So here's a cube. If I just add a cube in, if you have a custom one, you can go up to here and here, and then you can change it to a different thing, like in here if you have a custom thing. Then in here, this is going to transform our box into a building prop. So now, if we drag out this new blueprint class we just made, this is now a prop. So if I wanted to, I can go into this now, and now I can pick the box. I couldn't pick this one, but now I can pick this one because this is now a creative prop. So if you want to get custom props and move them in using verse, do this. And if there is a regular way that I don't know about, please tell me in the comments. Okay, final thing in this video is we'll be showing you how we can combine all the stuff we learned in this video, like player and Fort character stuff, with moving props to make a prop that is actually attached to the player and also follows the player too. Okay, first we have props, so we do attached, we're gonna call it attached prop. So we're gonna add a button, and we're gonna get a button of type button device. Now with this button, we're going to, on begin, we're going to interact it with event, subscribe, and then we're going to make a thing called grab agent. We haven't made it yet. This is gonna be a function. It's gonna be called grab agent up here, and we're gonna pass in an agent of type agent. We're going to make it void equals. So I know we just made this, but we're actually gonna need another one just very quickly called attach prop, which is going to be another function, and we're going to make this suspense. We're going to do type void equals, and then there we go. So what we need to do actually is we need to use spawn, which is going to spawn our attach prop function inside of it, and then we need to pass in an agent. So we're spawning the prop and we're passing in an agent, which is this agent that we're getting from grab agent, which we're getting from the button being pressed. So now attach prop now inside of here, and then of course actually we're gonna pass in an agent. We need to get the Fort character of the agent that passed in. So we're gonna do Fort character equals agent.get Fort character. So now if we use this, we're gonna get the Fort character. Remember to put this in an if because it's failable. You know how it goes. Then we need to make it so the prop moves to the player. Now how would we actually do that? Okay, now like props, Fort character also has transforms that we can take and use. But in the function move to, we need a translation and a rotation and a time. So we need to somehow get translation and rotation from the translation of the agent's Fort character, which isn't hard. There's a built-in function for both. So first we're gonna grab this translation, and it's going to be a Fort character, and we're gonna use a function called get transform brackets, and we're going to do dot translation, and this will allow us to grab the translation out of the Fort character transform. Then we're going to need another one for rotation. I'm just going to copy this. We're going to use the exact same code, and then we're going to get the rotation this time. So now we're getting the translation of the Fort character and the rotation of the Fort character. So last step is we need to move the prop. So we do prop, we use move to in the brackets. We'll then use translation for the first one, rotation for the second one, because remember these translation rotations are the position of the player, and then we had time, so we want it to be pretty much exact, so we use 0.1. And this prop is actually called attach prop. Silly me. So there we go, because it's this prop up here. So there we go. So now this is going to attach the prop and move it to the player. So yeah, very handy. Okay, last step is we just need to throw this onto a loop like so. So we just do this, get the indentation right. So now it's in a loop. Now there's going to be an issue where the prop, when it goes into the player, it's going to be inside the player. So we need to move the prop away from the player, like maybe above them. So to do this, we can go into translation, and then we do plus, and we'll do a vector 3, and we'll do a bracket, and then we'll do Z, which is up, and we'll do about 100.0. I'm going to add 100 to the Z thing. So I'm going to make these both editables for about that, and then I'm going to build the verse code. And now we need to get a button, and if the player presses this button, it's going to attach the prop to them. So I'm going to grab a button. It's going to be attach prop. We're going to add a interaction time of 2 seconds. We should use this much. And then we need to drag in a prop that we want to attach to the player. So I'm going to use a gnome. This gnome will attach to the player. So, or it'll kind of be above the player, but whatever. So now if I go into the reverse device, we'll then get the button, and then we'll pick the button, and then if we get the attach prop, and we just select the attach prop, which is the gnome. Now we are ready. So now if I push the changes of our map and I click this button, this gnome will now be attached to me. Now he's following my every move, and he won't leave me alone. So this is a pretty easy way to attach to something to the player. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next part, which is gonna be part 3, I might cover classes and tags. So some other stuff I missed. Hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, subscribe, and use my code in the Fortnite shop. And thank you to all our members of the channel. And watch all of these videos for more of my content. That's about it. I'll see you all around.